Tone Deaf is the journey of a musical theater nerd, bringing musicals into the life of their musically challenged spouse. The reactions to the musicals are real and mostly unedited. This show is for ages 14 and up, because sometimes you just need to use a swear. Now sit back, relax, and have a laugh. You're listening to Tone Deaf.
Welcome to Tone Deaf, a theater nerd's guide for their musically challenged spouse. I'm Kay, a musical theater nerd.
And I'm Warren. I'm musically challenged.
So today's episode is very near and dear to my heart, and it's one I've been anticipating and I'm just so happy to do. So I've actually had one of the songs from this stuck in my head all week in preparation. So this is going to be a musical based on a book. And the book is a door stopper, and yeah, we're doing Les Mis.
It's a table breaker?
Yes, it is a table breaker. So what do you know about Les Miserables?
What I know about The Miserables, it's French.
Mm-hmm.
A guy steals bread to feed his family, and he goes to prison for a really long time.
Yeah.
Disproportionate long time. I know that there's a revolution involved. And that's it? And Russell Crowe.
Yes, we're not watching Russell Crowe.
Okay.
No, we're going to be watching a high school production that's really good. Like, when I was watching it, it feels like it is the touring cast that I saw, so I'm really excited.
That's high praise.
Yeah. So, Les Miserables was originally a book by Victor Hugo. He's the same guy who wrote Hunchback of Notre Dame.
The Miserables isn't nearly as depressing as the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yeah, the Hunchback is actually way more depressing than this. This is happier?
Question mark at the end. I mean, people die.
Yeah, people die because it's
of death.
Victor Hugo.
Yeah.
So the novel was first published in 1862.
Okay.
Like I said, doorstopper. I actually had a really hard time getting through the book in high school because Victor Hugo takes a lot of digressions.
Yeah.
He will do chapters about things that he knows about that you're just going, but wait, why?
So does he just go on tangents
Yes.
and deviate entirely from the story?
Yes.
Really? So he'll just be like, oh, and I know random fact about this thing.
If I remember right, it took 75 pages to get to Jean Valjean.
The main
who's
character.
the main character.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, so I will not put that on my audiobook list.
It would take you a long time to get through it. Like, it's interesting.
Now I'm curious. Now I want to see how long the audiobook is for it.
It's interesting.
I don't even have one.
But when you're a high school student trying to read through it and you've seen the show first...
Oh, I absolutely despised required reading.
Yeah.
Because I'm picky with what I choose to read. And if they would have plopped that table breaker down in front of me, been like, you need to read this to get an A, I'll be like, you can just give me an F now.
This was not required reading for me. Remember my Roots story? Where I read Roots when I was 13?
True.
Yeah, that's the same sort of situation with me in trying to read Les Miserables, and I didn't learn. I didn't learn from Roots. I should have learned.
Remember your roots, Harley.
Speaking of tangents, so a lot of this story is inspired by things that Victor Hugo had seen in France throughout his life. So, like, Jean Valjean, he did see people having to resort to thievery to take care of their family in the early 1800s in France. The revolution, well, really it's more of an insurrection, and it only lasts for a couple of days. But that did take place in June of 1832.
Is an insurrection just an unsuccessful revolution?
Pretty much.
Okay. So
Yeah.
they're like, we want to start a revolution, but it gets squashed, and they're like, yeah.
It gets squashed terribly. And so pretty much the entire second act of this show, just so that you know, is that 1832 insurrection, which is not the bulk of the book.
Really?
Yeah.
What is the bulk of the book? Is it prison?
No. Well, there's a lot
Because he's in prison
too.
for like 20 years, isn't he?
They actually, he is in prison for 20 years. If I remember right, though, and I could be wrong because it's been a while since I've read the book, but it actually doesn't spend as much time when he's in prison as it does him redeeming himself, because the whole story's about Jean Valjean's redemption.
Which I feel is really sad, because it's like you stole a loaf of bread and you got to spend all this...
He also tried to run away several times.
Well, that's why... Okay,
yeah.
Because I should have clarified when you asked me what I know about it. I do remember watching the movie.
With Liam Neeson?
I think so.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a long, long time ago. Mm-hmm. And I remember watching it in school. So I do... I mean, but granted, it was a long time ago, so I only remember bits and pieces, what stuck. But I do remember that his prison sentence got extended because he kept trying to escape.
Yeah. And so it deals with a lot of him trying to redeem himself, but also all the stuff going around him. Deals with Javert, who's constantly hunting him down. But I digress. This is all stuff I shouldn't be telling you yet.
Spoilers.
So, if the musical had stayed true to the source material, it would probably be like the Ring cycle.
The Ring cycle? Like the movie The Ring?
No, okay, that's getting added to our list for like an opera week or something, because I think you would dig The Ring. It's a Norse mythology opera that takes 4 days to perform.
Interesting, because, until just now, the only Ring I knew of was the scary movie Ring.
Yeah, no, this is way awesome, and like there's Norse gods and stuff, and Ragnarok.
I'm down. We should do that.
If I remember right, there's Ragnarok. It's been a long time. I remember, most of what I remember about the Ring cycle is from a thing I saw on PBS when I was 7, so...
Well, your 7-year-old memory is better than my 27-year-old memory, so let's just say that.
So, let's see, look through my notes again. Oh, okay. Where were we? I digress.
That's what people have come to expect from us.
This is true.
Don't want to disappoint.
So, back to the musical.
Oh, that's right.
Yes,
is a musical
we're doing
podcast.
A musical.
Oh.
A musical today. So, the musical premiered in Paris in 1980. So, this did not start in Broadway. This started in Paris. It started out as kind of a concept album. The music was written by Claude Michel Schoenberg, and the lyrics were written by Alain Boublil and Jean-Marc Natel. It was in French originally.
Makes sense.
It was translated to English by Herbert Kretzmer. This is after the first French run. It only lasted for 3 months, and it came from a concept album, which we're going to be dealing with concept albums when we do Tommy.
Okay.
I'm excited for that one too, but that's because it's The Who. I digress. Oh no. I digress. So, it was picked up by Cameron Mackintosh, who produced Cats, and that's kind of how, Cameron Mackintosh is going to show up a lot in this podcast, just so that you know. He is one of the Broadway producers.
Okay, so he's a bigwig, and his stamp is on a lot of things.
Yes, a lot.
Okay.
Once we do Forbidden Broadway...
What's his name again?
Cameron Mackintosh.
Cameron Mackintosh. I will think Cameron, because I know someone named Cameron, and Macintosh is in Macintosh Computers.
As in the... I won't get into that. So, fun fact... This is the longest running show on the West End.
West End meaning London.
Yes. It premiered...
Really? So a French musical is the longest running in the West End?
Yes.
That tickles me a little.
And it premiered in 1985 and is still running.
Wow.
It is the second longest running musical in the world.
Is the first one Cats?
No. The first one is one we'll do later, called The Fantastics. It ran... How long do you think it ran?
Is it still going?
No.
Okay. 50 years.
You're close. You're a little high.
45.
40 years.
Okay.
Well, 40-ish. It ran
Still,
from
that's
1960 to 2002.
That's a long-ass time for a
Yes.
single show to be running.
Yes, it ran that long in its original off-Broadway run.
I have a hard time imagining anything being so good that it can just be...
Its popularity, and if people are still buying tickets to come see it, then it will keep running.
Well, alrighty.
So this show has been touring and revived and touring and adapted to film, famously, in 2012. It's been performed as a concert. It's been performed by community theaters. It's been performed by high schools. This show is popular.
I do know that it's very big and it's very popular, which is why I get laser eyes from people when they hear that I have not seen it.
And it's okay that you have not.
So
now you will get to see it.
I will get to see it.
And I forgot to mention, this actually was the 5th longest running Broadway show. Ran from 1987 to 2003.
Sounds like a good run.
And then as soon as it finished in 2003, it came right back. But it's not a continuous run, so it doesn't count.
Try to get out, I keep pulling me back in.
They even revived it, actually, and kind of added in some little touches that are closer to the book than what the musical is, because the musical is heavily truncated. And there are some characters that I will talk about after you've seen it that are very different.
Well, I'd imagine the musical would have to be heavily truncated because the book is so freaking massive.
Yeah.
It would be a 10-hour musical.
Yeah. And like I said, there are characters that are completely different personality-wise in the musical versus the book. And I'll go into that later because it's kind of cool, and one of them is one of my favorite characters in the whole show.
Exciting.
When it was first performed on Broadway, Broadway and the West End, it wasn't actually received well critically.
Really?
Critics didn't like it.
But the theater-going audience loved it.
It sold out.
Interesting. That's goes to show you what critics know.
Yeah. It just instantly was like, hey, this is a cool show, and the rest is history.
So another tangent. Do you know why critics didn't like it?
Literary folks didn't really like that there was this book being turned into a musical, and it's a lot of changes have to happen with the book to musical, and we'll talk about it later.
It almost sounds like it's the same gripe that people make with books being adapted to film.
A bit of it, yeah. If you look at Les Miserables, the musical, on its own, you'll get why that's funny later. If you look at Les Miserables as a musical on its own, it's really good. If you're comparing it to the book, of course it's going to fall short. Of course it is. That's always the case.
That's always the case.
If you look at something that's being adapted on its own merit and just ignore that it's been adapted, sometimes they can hold up, and then sometimes they're Ready Player One.
It's true.
Which both suck. I'm waiting for all those angry Twitter comments.
I was going to say, let's be fair, lots of people who probably like the book aren't probably musical fans.
Probably not.
You might escape.
I might escape.
We'll
maybe.
See.
We'll see.
Only time will tell.
We'll see. There's a junior version of this that was licensed to high schools, and it was actually for a long time the only licensed version of Les Miserables you could get.
Okay, that seems a little weird.
There's a lot of weird laws and rules when it comes to licensing musicals that I could probably do a whole episode on that would also be a rant.
That might be therapeutic for you one of these days.
Kind of like my rant on the fact that they should just tape Broadway shows. They should just tape them. Please. Please, I would pay a monthly subscription just to see taped versions of these shows, because there's no way I'm getting out to New York.
Yeah. I mean, like, for example, I did really enjoy the Cats version that we saw. And it's like, I would very much like to see, the high production quality versions of them just put to film. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like I'm in your camp. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people do, and I'm sure there's BS politics surrounding why they don't.
There absolutely is. I could rant about that for hours.
Save it, Kay. Save it. We'll
will save it.
We'll do a soapbox episode that you can just rant about BS musical things, and I'm sure the listening audience, well, you'll probably split. You'll probably get people who agree, people who
It
don't.
could be a Patreon.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe. That, because it will probably have to be a Patreon, because there will probably be more swearing than I'm comfortable doing.
Then I definitely want to be on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So, the version that was licensed to high schools is truncated. However, it's still amazing.
Okay.
Which is not always the case with junior versions of shows. We will not be watching a junior version because a few years back they released the entire musical for people to do. Like community theaters, high schools.
So they don't have to like not lease it, but license it.
Well, they do still license it, but up until that point, only high school groups could do it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's, again, those weird, stupid laws for licensing that happen depending on the publisher and so on and so forth. I will write up an episode now so that some more of this stuff makes sense for you. So, onto my personal history with this show.
You said that in a way that it seems like you're about ready to open up a closet and start dumping out some skeletons.
Yes. So, I first saw this show in 2003. I was 14. I became obsessed with it. We saw the touring cast in the downtown theater, and I had been obsessed with musicals before. There's a couple coming up that I'm kind of, like, ashamed about, but that one, there is no public internet trail back to me on that. This one there is, because this was my first internet fandom.
Oh! Le gasp.
Yeah. This was the first thing that I publicly wrote fan fiction for, because I was that obsessed with it. And I was obsessed with this show for more years than I'm willing to admit. This show is why I did the trip to France in high school.
Really?
Yes. Even though I didn't... The closest that I got to a place mentioned in Les Miserables was Toulon.
Toulon?
It's in southern France. That is the closest I got to anything tangentially related to Les Miserables.
See, when you said that, it just made me... It forced my brain to think of the intro to the Book of Mormon musical when he's like, Africa? Oh boy! Like Lion King! It's like, I just picture...
That is exactly...
Yeah, I picture young Kay like, France? Oh boy! Like the Miserables!
Yes. That is 100% the case. I even...
Don't cover your mouth too much.
Oh, no, I've got to, because this is so embarrassing.
Well, then people want to hear about it.
Oh, God. So, I also cosplayed for this at school.
So was there anything going on, or was it just a Wednesday and you were
It was just a Wednesday and I wanted to be Eponine. Or it was a Thursday and I wanted to be Enjolras.
You want to be epinephrine?
Oh, God.
I hope you people listening find me as funny as my wife does.
Oh, God. So, yeah, this is the first show that I was obsessed with in high school. And I was obsessed with it for way too long.
Are you still obsessed with it?
No, I am not.
So why are you no longer still obsessed with it?
I just sort of grew out of it. Other hyperfixations showed up.
Okay. But
Yeah.
but is it still like near and dear
Oh,
to your
yeah,
heart?
it's still near and dear to my heart. And every so often I will look back on things that I did for Les Miserables fandom. I am not sharing my username.
That's probably a good idea.
It still exists.
Probably.
I saw it the other day and I went, this is going with me to my grave.
So I do have a question though. If you wrote fan fiction for this, because I know your writing style, and you're brutal. Were you as brutal back then as you are? The smile on your face could could lighten up a room. You gave me the answer right there. You're like, absolutely yes. Did you make people cry with your fan fiction?
Well,
Because
okay,
you do that now.
So I was brutal, but in a 14-year-old sense, rather than in the seasoned, knows how to pull heartstrings out,
got you.
30-year-old sense.
So this was the apprenticeship.
This was the apprenticeship of Kay.
This was Kay's journey learning how to destroy people emotionally through writing. Gotcha.
I did write a lot of comedy for it, though.
That's good.
And
you're a good writer.
The comedic stuff was very odd, so there's that.
Well, it's French.
Yeah. I also had a self-insert one that... It was before fanfiction.net said that you couldn't do scripted things, because there were a lot of author insert fics at the time. Wow. I'm having flashbacks. Okay. With that, we're gonna go watch Les Mis. Probably take quite a few breaks for the sake of Latte, because this show, the version that we have, clocks in at 2 hours and 25 minutes.
Decent.
So Latte will need a lot of potty breaks. But we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. All right, Warren. It's time for the best part of every intermission.
Getting snacks that we can't bring back into the theater?
Even better. Now that the lights are back up, we can look into the playbill.
Today's sponsor is the Valjean Bakery. Our breads have been so famous that people will wait 20 years just to get a loaf. The baguettes are always on sale, and if you use the offer code JAVERT, you can get 2 for the price of 1. Order now and get these low prices. Valjean Bakery. It's a steal.
We are also sponsored by Le Café de l'ABC. Are you on your own? Has a little fall of rain ruined your outdoor plans? Well, come to Le Café de l'ABC. After the events of June 6th, we are back in business. We have plenty of empty chairs and empty tables that are perfect to host your meetings or just to drink to days gone by. Don't barricade yourself away from the rest of the world. Come to Le Café de l'ABC. Here are the people who donated $5 or more to make this show possible.
And the prestigious spot of our very first Tone Deaf Patreon sponsor is Jasmine Wu. Thank you so much for your contribution to our show. We deeply appreciate it. Your contribution is what makes Tone Deaf possible.
Thank you so much. And now, the lights are going down and the music is starting back up, so let's hop into the second act of the show. Alright, so what you think?
It was sad.
Yeah.
It was sad, and I don't remember it being that sad. It's been a long time. It's good. I don't know. I mean, look, I liked it. I liked it, but
That was sad.
I'm a little disturbed that it was your first, like, obsessive fandom.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
because it's not happy. There's very little happiness in it. It is very much a kick in the nether regions throughout most of the musical. So the fact that you liked it so much in your youth and like wrote fan fiction and obsessed about it kind of makes me side-eye you a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
You've read my stuff, though.
Which makes a lot of sense, because you like to stab people in the heart with your writing, I should preface. But the movie opens up with the Chain Gang Fitness Party with Jean Valjean, or if I've nicknamed him Johnny Be Good.
Oh, God.
Johnny Be Good has been bad. Johnny Be Bad stole some bread to feed his sister's son. And as a result, he's been sent to prison for 19 years, almost 20. Yes, there's going to be a theme in this. I don't call anybody by their real name.
Oh, God, this is going to be great.
And will likely piss off some people, but that's okay. But yeah, so Johnny Be Good, he finally made parole and couldn't really catch a break. Everybody was side-eyeing him and treating him like garbage because he was a convict, even though he served his time and stuff like that, which I don't think is really fair.
Yeah.
At all. Like the whole part with he's working and the guy pays him half of what he earned, and everybody else is like, why should you make what we honest folk make? And it's like...
It's a little bit of a commentary there, huh?
Yeah, no kidding, right? But I will say the priest is a bro. I kind of was hoping that priest would show up later at another point, but he's really just a
He's the catalyst.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it would have been cool to see him again. Just, you know, maybe he could see Johnny Be Good when he's done good later in life and be like, oh, I recognize you. You know, I'm glad you're doing like... But, you know, it's okay that he wasn't, that he didn't show up again, but I like the priest. The priest was a good guy. You know, I like that he gave him a break when he could have sent him back to prison.
Yes.
Been like, yes, this man stole from the church. But he was like, no, I gave him this silver. Like, thank you, officers, for doing your due diligence. But this man is innocent. And I was like, oh, priest is like priest is a good man. Priest is a good man. I like him. I felt bad for Fondant. She was really having a hard time. Fondant. Fondant. It's hard being a single mom when your boss is a dick. And trying to sleep with you, and the catty girls at the factory are making your life extra hard. I felt really bad for her, especially because Johnny Be Good seems to not realize that he's employing Billy Be Bad, who is kind of doing whatever he wants, and Fondant gets fired, and that's very sad because then she has to go into prostitution. And, she sells her hair.
She sells her hair first.
And then goes into prostitution.
In the book, if I remember right, she sells her hair and her teeth. And then, like, some of her teeth, and then goes into prostitution. Your expression.
It's because I want to make a joke, but we're trying to keep this a certain rating. So I'm gonna not say anything, and I will let people imagine. She has her one song about how summer flings, like she was about her baby daddy. It's a song about her baby daddy.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I fully understood what she was necessarily singing about, but what I took away from it was summer flings never last. Because he was there during the summer, and then by fall he was gone, which I'm not sure if I missed. It just sounded kind of like, oh, he was there and we had a great time, and then he just was gone.
Yeah,
just up and left.
That's pretty much what happens.
So, yeah, that's unfortunate.
He just leaves her.
He left her a parting gift though, so that was sweet.
A kid
to take care of by herself. And then she talks about how, I don't know if I remember the lyrics quite right in her Life Sucks song, but basically she's like, I had a dream. I had these dreams. I wanted life to be a certain way. And the whole thing I was thinking is, life kills dreams, sweetheart. It's in the fine print. Like,
yeah,
no one will tell you that life will kill your dreams, but it will. And then, of course, we Okay, yeah, that's when she becomes a prostitute, because then it automatically cuts to the frat boys on the prowl, is what it seemed like, because they were just
Yeah,
like, where are the women?
The sailors coming up on the harbor and being like,
Is that what it was?
yeah,
Okay.
lovely ladies, smelling through the smoke. Yeah.
Yeah, that was that whole part kind of made my skin crawl a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's even worse when that song's stuck in your head for a week. And that's the song that gets stuck in your head for
the
a
song
week.
You had stuck in your head
For a week. And I'm just sitting here going, oh my god, of all of the songs, it has to be this one.
It has to be the skeevy one.
Yeah,
about
the one that just,
about disgusting sailors trying to get laid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then Johnny Be Good realizes that he was the reason Fondant got fired and is forced to sell her hair and become a prostitute, and so he's like, I will take her and take care of her, and you know, things are looking up right up until she gets tuberculosis and dies.
Yeah.
Which, another sad thing, but I guess that was probably pretty common for the time.
Yeah.
Just, again, life will kill your dreams. 24610 on the run, ain't no fun.
24601?
24601 is on the run, ain't no fun, that poor son of a gun. I did like that he was like, I can't let this innocent man go to prison for me, and I thought his song that if he does nothing, I can't remember,
if he does nothing, then the man's condemned, but if he stays silent,
then he's damned.
Yeah.
I thought that song was pretty good. It's a pretty good, I would say it's a pretty good character solidifier.
Yes.
Of a song. Because that's the thing is, like, I feel so bad for Johnny because he's a good guy. He's a good guy who resorted to crime out of desperation and necessity, like a lot of people do in those situations, and just proceeded to get punished for nearly 2 decades for this crime.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunate. And Fondant and her daughter Closet.
Wait, Closet? Cosette.
Cosette?
Yes.
Is that French? That's French for closet.
No, but go on.
Yeah, Closet. Closet is a child slave.
Yes.
Yeah, at an inn.
Yes.
Is it an inn?
Yes, it is an inn.
I will say I did really like the innkeeper's song.
Yes.
He had one of my favorite songs. I'm actually very tempted, come Monday, to look up the Miserable soundtrack when we're at work and listen to some of the songs.
I can send you. I've got a few that I would recommend to pick from that are really good casts.
I'll let you send me recommendations.
Because there are so many soundtracks. So many different cast recordings of this show.
Yeah, I was really impressed because you said the recording that we listened to was a high school.
Yes, this was. Oh, I have it written down which high school it was. Technically, it was a grammar school, which is high school in England. It was the Royal Grammar School of Wycombe.
I think it's Wickham.
Wickham, probably. Wycombe.
I think it's Wickham.
Wickham.
That sounds familiar.
I'm not British, so not at all. So you've got more British in you than me, so
yeah. I mean, if DNA tests can be accurate at all.
True.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was very impressed with the high school cast for this.
Yeah.
They were phenomenal. Like, they were really good, and Monsieur Talmont, the innkeeper.
Oh, Thénardier.
Thénardier. Why did I say Talmont? Because I can't remember names.
You're fine.
You just Tardier?
Thénardier.
Thénardier. Okay, Nard, like Nads. That's
yes.
Thénardier. Monsieur Thénardier. The guy that played him in this particular version that we watched, he might have been my favorite, just because he was so into the role.
Yes.
You could tell that he was like, I'm a scumbag and I'm having fun. Like, and that song was just a lot of fun. I actually kind of want to listen to that song again. And then I thought it was, so we're going to jump around a little bit to the Barricade.
Yes.
The Barricade of Destiny,
Barricade of Destiny.
where the heroes gather to get their ass kicked later on.
Yes.
But I did laugh with oh no, I guess it's before then. The first point when Javier confronts Johnny Be Good, and he's like, "I know who you are."
Oh, Javert.
Javier, yeah. Javier.
That's closer than the other ones, yes.
Javier confronts
Yes.
Johnny Be Good, and Johnny beats his ass. And I thought that was pretty great, so I have in here in my notes, "Get wrecked, Officer Unfriendly." And then the good old days of child labor and selling children into slavery. I think I jumped around a little bit in my notes, but I think Javier really just needs a vacation or to pull that baton out of his backside, and he might just lose
Probably
it up a little
both,
bit. Yeah.
but spoilers, he doesn't get to.
No, he, spoilers, he takes a long step off of a short pier, and when they did that thing, I was like, do a flip! Swan dive, mofo! But yeah, I did know that he killed himself. That was something that I did remember, and I thought his bit was a little interesting with his, like, conflict of... So you might be able to clarify this for me a little bit. Did he kill himself because he couldn't bear to have been saved by someone that he saw as a criminal?
Yeah.
Or did he kill himself because he was racked with guilt over the fact that he punished someone who is good and not evil? Because Javier is a very black and white character. He is there is only good and there is only evil. There is no gray.
So he kind of blue screens of deaths.
Say that again?
He does like a little blue screen of death there, where he has moment where it's like, wait.
Oh, blue screen. Okay, gotcha.
Like a computer.
Like a computer.
It's too much for him to process, and so he is racked with guilt. He also has got everything thrown into question, everything that he's ever believed, and he just
so he's basically
can't take it.
He's dealing with too much cognitive dissonance, and he just can't come to terms with it. So he's like, I'm just gonna hit the reset button on this karmic cycle.
Yep.
Gotcha. Yeah.
That's in the future.
Yeah, I did feel... I think the character that I felt the worst for in this was EpiPen.
Eponine.
EpiPen. I feel really bad for EpiPen because she is really hard up for Marionette. Marionette.
Yeah.
EpiPen wants to be with Marionette, but Marionette wants to be in the closet.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to give EpiPen a big hug.
Yeah, she was my favorite character I really identified with her a lot.
Yeah. I kind of did too. Is that odd?
No, not at all.
Because I didn't... Out of all the characters, I was kind of like, there's some emotional connection to that character.
Yeah. And
then we're like, what, 2/3 of the way through the musical, and then I turn to you and I go, oh, this is a sung-through musical.
Yes.
Which you proceeded to lose your shit. You're like, yes it is, Warren. Good of you to notice. I did really like EpiPen's solo song about how life sucks.
Yeah.
Like, it's really good, but it was sad.
Yeah.
God, everybody in this production was so good.
Yeah,
like,
they were amazing. There's a reason I chose this one.
And it's just funny, too, because you could tell the level of care and effort that went into every aspect of it.
Yes.
The only thing I would say is, because I don't know when it was filmed, the only thing that I wish is that the recording was a little bit better.
Yeah.
Just because, but that's a small gripe to make, but especially considering that it was a school production and that all of these kids were, I don't want, maybe not minors, like some of them are probably of legal age, but
they were all high school, so...
Yeah, they could be 18.
Yeah, 18 and under.
But I'm just blown away. Like, I'm like sitting here, some of these people I'm like wondering, I would not be surprised if they went on to be...
They're probably on the West End right now.
Yeah, I would not be surprised. Like, they were really, really good. EpiPen's death was so lame. Marionette does not deserve her.
No.
And I don't know, I like EpiPen more than Closet.
A lot of people do.
I found Closet to be boring.
Yeah.
I found, like, she's just a boring character. I don't feel like she contributed anything.
Yeah.
She was just there to be desired by Marionette.
Mm-hmm.
And meanwhile, EpiPen is, like, the like, she's actually doing shit. She's actually trying to help the cause. She's actually trying to be productive, and Closet is just like, oh, I'm a rich girl, and I like this boy that I just barely met. And you were going to tell me, because apparently they know each other more in the book.
So this is where there's a huge change from the book. So in the book, Marius and Eponine are neighbors, but Marius doesn't give a crap about her. They are not friends. He does not care about her. She adores him and hangs the moon on him, but he doesn't. All he uses her for is to run letters to Cosette, and he has this whole thing with Cosette for quite a while, actually. I think it's a few weeks or something, so different than the one day and we're in love. But Eponine is used as kind of the go-between for her father's gang, and she's kind of unhinged in the book because being poor and malnourished has kind of messed with her brain a little bit. So she's smart, but she has her moments where she just kind of loses it a little bit, like not violently or anything, but just sort of rambles.
Seeing who her parents are?
And her parents are horrible.
I mean, her
in
parents
the book.
are the two worst people. I mean, at least Javier has a sense of duty, and I want to say he has a sense of honor.
Yeah.
But I don't really think he's an honorable person. He has a sense of duty, we'll say that. But the EpiPen's parents are just garbage incarnate.
And they're garbage in the book. Eponine also has, I had let you know because it wasn't made very clear, Gavroche is her little brother. But in the book, she has a little sister who's older than Gavroche, and then two more little brothers who Gavroche takes care of.
Are they part of the gang too?
No.
Oh.
In fact, in the book, Gavroche, it's just him and his two brothers living on the streets. Because the Thénardiers just were like, we don't care about him.
I like Gavroche. He was an awesome little guy.
And I didn't warn you, and I'm so sorry.
No, I mean, that's okay. It's spoilers. I liked that he called Javier out in front of everybody, and they were like, this snake in the grass, and I liked his song about don't kick a pup because the pup grows up, and like that, and then it was really sad when he got shot at the barricade. I think that's probably the only scene that I felt my throat tighten a little bit.
When I first saw that was the scene that made me cry.
Because I liked that character, and then I'm like, oh man, they killed a kid. I mean, granted, he's a kid helping an insurrection, but he's...
And the insurrection is there to help him.
Yeah, he's a cute little kid.
Yeah.
I liked him.
And so I did have a little bit of exposure to this when I was young. There was a CD that was Broadway Kids, which was kind of...
Was that like Kids Bop, but for theater?
Yeah, but a lot better. Because it wasn't like changing songs to make it appropriate. Although they did extend Gavroche's song. But my exposure to Les Miserables when I was young was Castle on a Cloud, which was Cosette's song when she's in the inn, and Little People, the one that Gavroche sings. And so I had no frame of reference for either song. So Castle on a Cloud happens, and I'm like, okay, that kind of makes sense. Little People happens, and I'm going, okay. And then the reprise to Little People happens, and I'm going, no. Gavroche, no.
You stop that. And then they have their first standoff at the barricade where they're feeling kind of victorious. They threw the army back, or the militia, I guess.
It would be the National Guard.
National Guard, there you go, yeah. They threw the National Guard back, and they're like, yeah, but we can't sleep because they're going to come back. And I was kind of like, no, you sleep, you have people stay awake, and they do watches, and then, you know, you wake somebody else, and then that person goes to sleep, and you cycle through people taking watch, you idiot. Like, no wonder you guys frickin' lost. But, of course, Grunter gets drunk, and... Grunter, yeah, he gets drunk and yells at the leader. I don't really think I picked his name up.
He yells at Kofri, I can never pronounce his name. Korfriak.
I'm gonna call him Red Vest.
Yeah, he yells at him too. But his line is sort of towards the other character, and then Entourage kind of gets all like, hey dude, knock it off. Which... Entourage. Oh god.
Yeah. So he yells at him, and then, of course, Johnny B. Good has his singing at the top of his lungs in the middle of the night while everybody else is sleeping.
His soliloquy?
He was singing in the middle of the night while everyone was trying to sleep, preparing for the big battle. I don't know how nobody woke up to tell him, dude, shut up, we're sleeping.
Because it was a soliloquy. He was praying silently. And with it being a soliloquy, it's not like he's doing it outwardly. It's his inner monologue.
He could have soliloquietly. I love my note here. Do a flip, Javier. And then Marionette has survivor's guilt because everybody else died, and Johnny B. Good rescued his worthless butt because Closet has a hard-on for him. And he's like, I don't know. I don't get that bit. Because I feel like, from Johnny B. Good's perspective, like, you take your daughter and you run. You take your daughter and you go. And you go somewhere else and escape it. Like,
yeah.
But instead he's like, I will save this turd that I don't think is good enough for my daughter. And then I will go off and die and leave him with her. There were things that I didn't like.
Yeah. And honestly, after Empty Chairs at Empty Tables, I kind of glaze over with this show until it gets to the very end, because the very end is really beautiful. With the, to love another person is to see the face of God. I love that line.
What part was that in?
That's Fontaine and Eponine sing that when they're taking...
Got you. When Johnny dies and they're doing, like, the going to see God song.
Yes. And so there are some other changes that are... I forgot to tell you with Eponine. Another thing that probably would hurt to think about. In the book, she kind of has a if I can't have you, no one can moment, but she does it in a weird way. She convinces Marius to go onto the barricade, but then has guilt about it, so she decides, I'm gonna die first, and steps in front of a gun that's pointed at him, and puts her hand on the barrel and takes the bullet. And then she dies in Marius's arms, and he doesn't give a crap. Like, no, seriously, she bears her soul to him and tells him everything, hands her the letter from Cosette, because Cosette has a letter for him, and then she dies, and he gives her a little kiss on the forehead and is like, oh, this poor street urchin.
It's like, ew, she got blood on me.
And no one else knows that she dies.
What?
Yeah.
What? Because in the show they're like, we will fight in her honor.
Yeah, no.
She will not have died.
No one knows that she dies.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah. The book is way more miserable than the musical.
That sucks.
But there's kind of a theme of redemption in the whole show that's kind of cool. That shows up with Eponine, with Fontaine, with Jean Valjean. Another difference I wanted to tell you about that was something that I wish that could have been fleshed out, but I know that it would have made the musical way longer. The students are way more interesting. So, we'll start with Enjolras and Grantaire. So Grantaire is the drunk, and Enjolras is the leader of the group. Grantaire has, like, he's pretty much, like, they don't say outright that he's in love with Enjolras, but he's pretty much in love with Enjolras. And all that Enjolras cares about is that he does this whole revolution for his country sort of thing. And so during the final confrontation, Enjolras is dragged away by the National Guard to be executed. Grantaire has been asleep the entire time because he, at the very start of their insurrection, he does this whole speech on how... I'm trying to remember what it is, but he does this speech and it pisses off Enjolras. Like, he's finally just had it with Grantaire, and he reams him, and Grantaire's completely blasted. It's like, just gone, and he just passes out.
So he basically gets chewed out, and then he gets upset and he goes and gets drunk. And
well, he has been drinking the entire time, because Grantaire is, like, super alcoholic.
He's a lush.
He is a lush, and he just passes out, and he wakes up at the end of the fight when Enjolras is about to get executed, and he goes and stands with Enjolras, and basically is like, let me join you in death.
You, man.
Pretty much, and Enjolras actually starts to smile at him, and then they get shot and killed together, holding hands.
Jeez.
Yeah. There are other students that are more fleshed out.
You remember when I said at the beginning of this that The Hunchback of Notre Dame was less depressing than The Miserables?
Oh, the book is way worse of Hunchback.
I know that from just what I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know by how much, like everybody dies, and it's like, okay, granted, The Miserables has a little bit of a happy ending, whereas The Hunchback, not at all.
Yeah,
but that's it. I mean, it's like -1 versus -2 in terms of a punch in the teeth.
Yeah. So they mention a couple of the names of the other students. They have Combeferre, who's kind of Enjolras' second in command in the book. You have Fouilly. Fouilly isn't actually a student. He's an orphan who liked making fans.
Fouilly.
And then you've got two of my favorites, other than Grantaire, who's always been my favorite, is Joly and Bousset, or L'Aigle. It's been a while since I've taken French. No. And the former, Joly, is a medical student who's a hypochondriac. And then Bousset is the oldest and unluckiest, and he went bald at 25. And they mention that, and they're roommates, and they're
pillow friends.
As well as, and they also share a girl.
The French.
Yeah. They also don't really explore Marius's connection to the Thénardiers in the musical as much, because Marius actually does have a connection to them. His father was an officer in Napoleon's army, and he believed that he owed a debt to Thénardier, because Thénardier lied to him and said, I saved your life.
What, Thénardier? But he seems so, stalwart and morally sound.
And Marius actually grew up with his grandfather instead of with his father, and his grandfather's a royalist, and is basically like, you can't have anything to do with your father. And so Marius kind of joins the Le Mise de l'ABC, the revolutionary group, as sort of a FU to his grandfather.
That sounds like an angsty teen rebellion.
He is an angsty teen rebellion boy. Yeah. But, like, the thing that I like about this show, A, is the music, and B, is just sort of the overall theme of redemption and forgiveness, and, yeah, things suck. things can suck really hard, but you can get redeemed in the end. You can get... Back when I was a Christian teen, this was one of those shows that kind of spoke to me more, because it had similar redemption arcs without it being so much like, oh, you have to sacrifice everything, because they didn't sacrifice everything. It was just that crap happened, and they still lived through it, or tried to live through it. It's not like, except for Javert, he does not live through it. I mean, none of them live, but he does not live through his cognitive dissonance moment.
Well, he was trying out for the French Olympics, and it went sideways.
It did go sideways.
And then end over end, and then ended in a belly flop.
Yeah. Into the Seine.
Into the what?
It's the big river that he jumps into.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm a nerd.
You're smart, and I'm not.
You're cute. And you're funny.
I got that going for me.
And you're funny. And you're smart in other subjects. I'm smart in useless subjects. But yeah, that's... like I said, it's not my obsession anymore, but when I was an angsty high school student, then yeah.
It was your jam. This
was my jam. Now it's one of those shows where I look back and I go, there are actually some really deep themes to it, and it's the older that I've gotten, the more that I appreciate the moments with Jean Valjean. Because when I was younger, I definitely gravitated more towards scenes with the revolutionary students and with Eponine and stuff, and the whole heartbreaking love triangle there that in the book is just totally messed up. Because
I just thought about something with Johnny Be Good.
Mm-hmm.
Him taking in fondant and closet in a definite way. Because, dude, I would assume in the book, he probably tries to look up his sister and his nephew.
Yes.
And probably, I would imagine they're probably both dead.
I can't remember if they're dead or if they just sort of left him for dead. Because it's kind of like, oh, you've been sent to prison, you're not coming out ever again, sort of.
Well, just because I kind of see the theme a little bit in that he took in fondant and closet almost as a way to try, because he failed to take care of his sister and his nephew.
Yes.
Because he got caught and sent to prison. So it's almost like a way for him to atone for not being able to take care of his family. He took in this woman and her child to take care of them.
And he always thinks that he still is falling short. That's kind of the tragedy with his character, is that he can do all of these great things, but he's still got that past that he thinks he's... And Javert is there hounding him with it.
Yeah.
All the time.
He won't ever let him...
No.
That's the thing that does suck about Javier, is like in his mind, you can't ever be redeemed. If you've messed up once, you're messed up forever.
And that's kind of a theme with Victor Hugo, too, because you've got Judge Frollo in Hunchback, who's a similar character.
Yeah. True.
Yep.
Man, Victor Hugo had some damage.
Well, it was France, and it was the 1800s, so that's not a happy time in France.
It's not a happy time for anyone anywhere.
Oh, no.
Like, it was before the internet. What did people even do before then? I mean, I remember a time before the internet. Barely.
I remember a time before the internet a little bit more, because we couldn't afford the internet.
Well, I didn't use the internet until broadband, because dial-up was so slow and I hated it.
I remember a time before internet, and there were books. And there were musicals.
I sure did draw a lot more when...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, before that. Anyway, digressing, as...
Yes, Victor Hugo.
Let me stop and tell you about my sock.
Let me do 75 pages about the bishop.
No.
If you want more of the bishop, then you should read the book. I mean, he doesn't show up ever again, except in sort of memory from Jean Valjean, but... the first 75 pages are all about him, so... down to every painstaking detail.
Is Johnny Be Good gay? Just curious.
No.
Okay. Just because you never see him ever get a partner.
No. I mean, there is a lot of slash fan fiction on the internet of him and Javert, but...
Yeah, I'm sure no small portion of that was written by you.
Actually, no. I wrote more Enjolras Grand Terre, but...
Okay.
But no, they don't ever specify if Valjean had any romantic interest in anyone, but by the time he's out of prison, he's like in his 40s or 50s, so...
Okay, fair enough.
But they definitely, like, it kind of like with the relationship that they have with, like I said, Enjolras Grand Terre, it's not outwardly spoken, but there is some subtext, because at the time, it's not okay over there. Or in the US, it's not okay generally because we like to be oppressive and horrible, and I don't want to do a soapbox episode right now on how angry I get at the lack of LGBT representation and things, and the fact that history sucks for us.
That's fair. That's fair.
But yeah, no, I think that they never really focus on anything romance-wise for Valjean. Pretty much every other character, they sure do.
You know what us doing this episode means, though? In the future, we'll get to do a comparison. Because there is the Gladiator version of Les Miserables. Which, yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of... His name is evading me right now.
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe. Thank you, Kay. Other than Gladiator. But I did remember everyone being super excited about that movie when it came out initially. And
Except for me.
Except for you. Like, well, you wanted to see it initially, and I promised to take you, and then I totally didn't.
And I had seen enough snippets that I said, you know what? No, I don't want to see this. Here's the deal. We will watch it, but it will be a Patreon episode. Because I will be blasted.
You will be blasted?
I will be blasted. I will have 2 glasses of wine because that's all I can handle anymore in my old age. And that will make it more enjoyable to watch The Gladiator
and that actually
trying to sing.
Actually might make your recording of it extra hilarious.
Oh, God.
Be strong, Kay. We'll make it through this together.
We will. So that was Les Miserables.
The Miserables.
Yes, The Miserables, with Jean Valjean.
Johnny Be Good.
And Fantine.
Fondant.
And Cosette.
Closet.
Marius.
Marionette. You almost said Marionette.
I almost said Marionette. What have you done?
A great and many terrible things.
So the next show that we're going to do is one that I sent you the soundtrack of when I was teaching, and I was like, hey, you need to listen to this because I finally found it on Spotify. And then you responded to me with, what in the fresh hell is this?
Bat Boy?
Yes, we are going to watch Bat Boy, and I am so excited.
I am excited to understand exactly what the hell was going on.
Yes, it's easier to listen to sung-through musicals, soundtrack only, without ever having seen the show, than it is to listen to traditional musicals that way.
You know, I feel like if you're going to put a musical out, you can have tracks in between that is the dialogue to fill in the gaps, because I had no... Okay, we'll save it. We'll save it for the next episode. I apologize, folks.
Spoilers. Thank you so much for listening. We truly hope you enjoyed this. Please follow us on Twitter at Tone Deaf Musical, and like, share, and subscribe.
If you loved it, tell your friends and spread the word. If you want to go above and beyond, please donate to our Patreon, which is also Tone Deaf Musical.
That's it for this week. I'm Kay.
I'm Warren.
And this has been
Tone
Tone
Deaf.
Deaf.